Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first episode of Emotional Intelligence Masterclass Leading with Empathy and Humanity. Brought to you by Creativity Café with me, Dr. S M Moin. I'm a reader in storytelling and brand communication at Queen Mary University of London. And in this series, we are going to explore how emotional intelligence is not just a soft skill, but a transformative force in leadership, relationship, and global change. Over 10 episodes, we will dive deep into the science, the soul, and the real world practices of leading with clarity, compassion, and purpose, driven by our inner compass, and we call it emotional intelligence. Ladies and gentlemen, today I'm very honored to be joined by Professor S M Arifuzzaman, one of the think tanks of emotional intelligence in Asia. Professor Arifuzzaman has a remarkable academic and professional background. He has educated some of the top universities in Asia and Europe and has taught at several leading universities in Bangladesh and has been deeply involved in both corporate and research activities. He is an emotional intelligence coach, a seasoned strategist, and brings over 2 decades of experience in leadership, training, and development. His works span not only theory, but also very practical approaches and applications, designing EI programs for corporations, guiding leaders, and influencing organizational culture. I'm really excited for this conversation because, in many ways, it sets the foundation for everything we will explore in this masterclass. So, Professor Arifuzzaman, welcome to Creativity Cafe for an Intellectual Adda.
Thanks a lot, Dr. Moin. Your work is very fantastic because I really like and admire your work. And thanks a lot for introducing this wonderful conversation because I'm very passionate about emotional intelligence. And I hope that through our discussion and conversation, you are calling it Adda. I believe that all of will get some insight and will be able to apply the emotional knowledge of emotional intelligence in our daily life and in the corporate setting also.
Yes, it's an intellectual Adda. So, we will have Adda, but we will also nurture our minds, but also nurture our souls at the same time. So, as you know, that we are going to have 10 episodes in this series, and I'm really grateful because people like you, who is very busy in giving training to the corporate managers and leaders, you have committed your time. So, I'm very grateful, first of all. So, our today's topic for our audience, let me clear that is origin of emotional intelligence from theory to revolution, because we will cover a lot. So we are coming from very beginning, so that somebody who doesn't have any understanding about emotional intelligence, they are also comfortable to start this masterclass. So my first question to you is that where did the idea of emotional intelligence actually begin? You heard me, right?
Hello. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Okay. So
yeah,
my first question to you is that where did the idea of emotional intelligence actually begin?
yeah. Actually, the whole world got to know about this particular word, the emotional intelligence, actually through a fantastic research done by two psychologists, Peter Salovey and John D. Meyer. They had coined the term for the first time in their article of 1990, where they had actually showed to the whole world that uh, the cognitive ability is not the only thing, especially the intelligence. Actually, they had defined the intelligence in a different way, and they had introduced the concept that uh, intelligence is no longer it's only about the IQ, but it also include how people identify, use, and manage the emotions effectively. So from there, actually, the whole world got to know about this concept for the first time.
So yeah, so I think so. What you are trying to say is that well, we are driven by emotion because I'm a storyteller, and we want to connect people emotionally. But when we are managing ourselves, and if we want to be more effective, so at that time, if we can master our emotion, understand our and others' emotion using our intelligence, is that actually you are trying to say?
Yes, yes, that's true. That is true. Yes. So
Okay.
they were the first one, like who talked about that emotion should be taken into considered as the part of the intelligence actually.
Okay, fantastic, fantastic. So, would you say something about their early research that how they redefine the way psychology viewed intelligence? So, can you
Yeah,
throw a little bit more light onto that?
yeah. So actually, they actually showed to the world that whenever a manager or leader actually take a decision, it's not only depending on their cognitive ability, rather the emotion actually were also influencing their decision making. So that is why they actually introduced the term that it no longer depends only on your logic and the reasoning. Actually, emotion is playing a vital role, and so they actually showed that it includes that how the emotions are driving the decisions of different people actually. And from the research we got to understand that how sometimes the high IQ people actually they can actually take some dumb decision, uh, like which were not, they cannot, somebody cannot explain unless they understand the concept of the emotional intelligence.
Okay,
And
so you,
again, also we saw that actually some people, like maybe their IQ was not very much at high level, but they could manage a very good career. And this term, then they actually utilize the concept that okay, the emotional intelligence is actually playing a role after certain period of time in the
so
career.
okay, so it's about managing the emotion. So that's fine. Yeah, okay, I understand. So that they can be more efficient, but also effective. Okay, that's brilliant. So I think we all understand that Daniel Goleman. So he is one of the big names in the field of emotional intelligence. So what role did he play in popularizing this word or this concept, emotional intelligence, for leaders and the organizations?
Yeah, Daniel Goleman is actually the brilliant psychologist, and actually he has extended and applied the emotional intelligence concept into the in the context of the actually leadership and the organizational setting. So he analyzed the top executives of the highly reputed companies, and he had showed that like when the people they start working with the reputed companies, their IQ level are very close to each other. But he has showed to the world that after certain years, out of them only few percentage of the people they are actually going into the upper position. Some of them remain in the bottom, and some of them are that they could actually hardly go to the middle level. So then he has showed that their IQ level is very close to each other. So, what is the reason for some of them to go up and some of them to remain in the bottom? And then he has actually showed that yes, the emotional intelligence actually played the vital role. And from there, we got to know that uh, in our career, 20% of our success actually depends on the IQ, and 80% of success depends on the EQ. So, interesting thing is that he was not neglecting the IQ. He showed for the first time to the whole world that after certain period, after certain level in the career, IQ no longer become relevant because all the executive their IQ level is very high, very sharp. They all are good or excellent at their in terms of the analytical ability. So after certain period in the career, the IQ EQ actually become the differentiating factor. And so, Daniel Goleman's work is actually a breakthrough work because he had shown the practical application of the emotional intelligence, and he had taken it to the business world. So through his book that was published in the year 1995. So I believe that now in the business world, the emotional intelligence EQ, what we are talking about, it's actually the wonderful contribution of Daniel Goleman, because before that uh, it was remaining as part of the psychology, but he has showed that the leaders, they must have they are actually using the emotional intelligence, and that's why sometimes I say that emotional intelligence is not a different type of skill. It is actually Daniel Goleman showed that it is the certain behavioral thing, or how they are managing their own emotion, and how they influencing their emotion. That is actually the emotional intelligence. And in terms of the leadership, and in terms of managing the team and inspiring the team, IQ actually doesn't work. It has to be the emotional intelligence which actually played the vital role.
I think you discussed very fascinating thing, because I can also relate, because you know that before I come to academia, I was working in the industry, and I worked several industries, and I had the opportunity to be part of some assessment centers, and I could see myself that when the top companies actually they hire people, they give enough emphasis on understanding their IQ. So yes, so it's like, so everybody get it. They have a high level of IQ, or they are kind of similar. So what you are saying, that's true. So the IQ is necessary to get into those companies, but that's not differentiator, because everybody's IQ is more or less same. So
Similar.
the differentiator is the emotional intelligence. Okay, so EQ, so emotional questions. So that is the what do we call emotional
So yeah,
intelligence.
like in another way, you can say that how good you are with your emotions and how good you are understanding others' emotion. He called it actually empathy. And interesting thing is that he has showed to the whole world that the people who are working in the top companies, the difference between the IQ level is very low, but the difference between the emotional intelligence was very wide. And people who are prospering in the career, making progress in their career, definitely they had the high emotional intelligence. The meaning is very simple, that they were good at managing their own emotion effectively, and they are very good at influencing the others' emotion effectively.
Fantastic,
So
fantastic.
it's very simple. It's a very simple manner he has presented it to the whole world, and then the whole world got to know that yes, that's true. That how you manage your emotion in the pressurized situation, and how you inspire that team. And it has been found that sometimes the people with very high IQ, they are not very good at inspiring other people because they were lacking the most important skills. We must say that's the empathy, because high IQ means that you are very good at cognitive ability. So
And
sometimes actually that is more than enough for you to making blind about others' emotion.
okay, yeah, okay, that's brilliant. Okay, so let me ask you a little contextual question. So we can call it sort of going back to history. So why did the world in the 1990s suddenly become ready for emotional intelligence? Because we have not seen a lot of discussion about emotional intelligence before that. But still, we were
Yeah,
very civilized beforehand. Is there any reason, actually? Can you throw some light around,
yeah.
on
I
that?
must say that this is one of the most like valuable question, a very interesting question you have asked. Uh, if you look at the that the innovation and the technological advancement, that the after 90 actually the technological advancement become very high at that time, and we have started seeing the robots there, and we have also seen that the task has become very much it depend it's a qualitative. What like companies that time had to focus on the differentiation actually. Before that, it's all about the mass production. People needed the clothing and all these different types of products, services. And at that time, before 90, it was all about the competition about who can produce more. But after 90, the competition becomes like who can produce better products, who can give better service. And that's the whole world got to understand that IQ is not ever alone to actually let the leaders navigate through navigate through the emotions and navigate through the tough times, pressurized situation, and the workplace become more diversified. And during that time, the workplace demanded the leaders who must be good at identifying, managing their emotions, and uh, influencing others' behavior. So before that, actually the need of emotional intelligence were there, but they could not play the vital role in terms of the performance because the products are not differentiated, and the system were that the resource constraint was not that much heavy. So
So
after
it's
90,
yeah,
yes,
it was also industrial age, so pretty much focusing on the efficiency in the factory floor.
yes,
It's
yes,
like scientific management, so you can design the assembly line, obviously. So it's productivity, another thing. But now, as it's a dramatic shift, obviously, because we
yes,
from second industrial revolution to third industrial revolution, also internet coming into play and information age and new kind of capitalism, that is data capitalism, and other things are coming. And obviously it's kind of navigating the uncertainties and what will be people's role and who will be more effective and who will not, and how to create condition so that not only get effective or efficient performance by the people, but how we can also manage their emotion and our emotions as we are putting ourselves into an uncharted water, kind of a new paradigm shift of information age. So yeah, you explained it very very well. So I will ask my next question. How does emotional intelligence differ from IQ or personality? I think you have touched upon or given us some light, but can you elaborate a bit?
oh yeah, definitely. So IQ actually includes your analytical ability, your cognitive ability, your logical excellence. So these are actually measured by the IQ. There are different types of tests, like who is actually very good at calculation, identifying the prototyping. This kind of thing are included in the IQ. But emotional intelligence, where it mostly focus on uh, like, am I good with my emotion? For example, let me give you one simple example. Suppose uh, when you are under pressure, uh, then you become overwhelmed. So think about two-person, like both got the high level of IQ, but emotional intelligence is low, another is high. So what will happen during the pressurized situation? High IQ people, maybe then he will walk out from the scene and he will go for a vacation, and he will not feel good to actually work. But the whereas the high EIP person, he will will be focusing on there. Another context I can give you, in the pressurized moment, that like if a leader with low emotional intelligence, he will be basically become very much overwhelmed, and he will become anxious, and he will spread this anxiousness among the team member, because we say that emotion is actually contagious. But at the same time, the leader with the high emotional intelligence, he will understand that yes, the situation is very bad, but I need to manage my team, management need to inspire, manage my team. So he actually will focus on how I can manage my emotion and show the effective emotion to my team member. So this is the emotional intelligence actually. Now you can easily understand that when the situation is very normal, everything is going in the normal manner, at that time actually nobody will ask the question, there will be no test of emotional intelligence. But test of emotional intelligence will only comes when the situation is actually challenging, competitive. And now you see that in the business world, now it's no longer a very it's not about competition of who can produce more. It's all about how we can produce a better product, how we can position my product in the better manner, how we can making a fantastic relationship with the customer. So every places now, without emotional intelligence, you cannot actually survive.
So it's not about say money, but also meaning, and how you actually make a balance between two. That's also yeah important. So it's not that your employees they are getting money and they are motivated, but also they are seeking a meaning as well. So I think, a book written by Seth Godin, The Song of Significance, that's also very important here, because he was asking that if you want to manage your, the employees, so you need to create an environment where they find meaning into their work. So that is another aspect. I think the emotionally
Yes, I can. I think
intelligent
I can.
leaders,
Yeah,
they consider that.
yeah. I can like connect with another interesting theory. I think it's a very old theory, the two factors theory, the Heisenberg factor and the motivational factor. Now, if we look at the both components, Heisenberg factors can be given through the kind of IQ. A person with the IQ, he can understand. Okay, we have to give a good environment, but look at the motivating factor. Majority of the factors can be only provided by a leader with high emotional intelligence.
Okay, brilliant. Okay, so I think, although emotional intelligence is the talk of the town, but it's still people sometimes think that, well, it might be a very kind of abstract concept. So, is there a misconception surrounding about emotional intelligence that you know about?
Yeah, very interesting question, and I think that that is another very interesting question of today's session. There are few misconceptions about emotional intelligence. The first one is actually people think that emotional intelligence means being nice, which is actually not true at all. It doesn't mean that you have to be nice. It means that you have to be effective. So think about it. During the normal time, I will be very good with my people. But think about a situation where there is a tight deadline, there is urgency. At that time, I really have to be bit strict to my employees. So, but if you are being nice, it happened with so many leaders. We have found that being nice actually results something. Sometimes the disaster result because their team member, these leaders, they cannot earn the respect because they become too nice. So their fellow members, they take the leader as guaranteed, unfortunately. So emotional intelligence is not about being nice, it's all about being effective. So you really have to be very much flexible enough to behave in a very different way at different situations. With the same employee, maybe sometimes you have to behave like very in a normal manner, sometimes you have to behave is in a strict manner. So emotional intelligence, the leader with emotional intelligence, they understand. So we say that they will be very much flexible. First thing, and a second misconception that is about emotional intelligence is that some people think that it's basically a trait that they got through inheritance, which is absolutely not true. Emotional intelligence is actually a learnable skill or teachable skill. So it depends on how you are actually brought up. It depends on your schooling system. I think that I can connect you to a very interesting concept that in Japan, uh, the kids are actually they are taught the empathy from the very early stage, and in some other schools of developed countries, from the very earliest stage, they actually taught the children how to have the patience, how they can develop the delayed gratification, which is a very important component of the emotional intelligence. So emotional intelligence, the good news is that it has no relationship with the uh, gene or the family things like the IQ. So that is why anybody, if he or she wants, they can actually develop the emotional intelligence. So these are actually the two major misconceptions that is prevalent in the market.
Okay, so yeah, that's fantastic. Okay, so yeah, so it's not about being nice. So you just told a very nice thing here. That because we might think that it might be a sort of relevant to country club management, where everybody's kind of friend and other thing. It's not about that, but it's about understanding the real emotion and manage accordingly. Okay, so my next question is obviously there have been a lot of researches on emotional intelligence, and I just want to understand whether some of the early research that was very prominent, do they still hold true, or they have been nullified by the latest research on the topic? Or
Yeah, yeah. Actually, all the outcomes from Daniel Goleman is still is very much relevant, and I believe that that is being highly reinforced in nowadays because technological advancement has actually showed us that the emotional intelligence is a very much true thing. Because now, from the image scanning of the brain or all this stuff, we got to understand that whatever was discussed or introduced by Daniel Goleman, that is now scientifically proven. Let me give one simple example that he has showed that when people become overwhelmed, they take the decision from their emotional part of the brain. And now technological neuroscience and the technological advancement has actually proven the theory that we call it the amygdala hijack. That when people are very much overwhelmed, they are actually the information they cannot go beyond emotional brain and they cannot go to the prefrontal cortex, which people are now calling it the executive center of the brain, and even some people going too far and they are calling it Einstein part of the brain. So this theory still holds true that during the pressurized situation, the people who can let the information go from the emotional brain to the prefrontal cortex, they can take the better decision. This is the first thing. And second thing is that I think that another wonderful contribution by Daniel Goleman and all the other two psychologists is that they introduced the concept of the empathy. And now, as you can see, uh, all the great, organizational trainers and experts like Simon Sinek and other people, they are actually considering that you must have the empathy, especially during the time of the crisis, and that can be demonstrated through the behavior of the one of some of the finest companies like Southwest Airlines. They actually show the high level of empathy, and it has been shown that the companies who are more empathic to our organization, their like performance are going up. And so I think all no theory is so far discarded. That is the greatest. I think that contribution of Daniel Goleman, and now it is being reinforced more.
Mhm. And that's a great revelation as well that something was done, some research was done before, but it still that holds true. So, and that's impacting massively in the way we lead people in the organization, but at the same time, we also lead our own life. So, let me come into another question because our time is also limited because we want to make each episode a bit compact, short, so that our audience can watch the video. But we will do a number of episodes, as you know, that 10 episodes.
Yeah,
So, in what ways has emotional intelligence influenced education, leadership, and HR globally? Because these are
yeah,
very important area, you understand.
yeah. So as I have told you, that Japanese schools, the schools at Japan, they are actually practicing the empathy, and in America and Canada, they are including the social emotional learning into their curriculum of the schooling, and some of the greatest business schools, they are including the mindfulness in their curriculum, and human resource, they are focusing more on how they can test the emotional intelligence uh, to recruit the people, because they had uh, admitted that I think that there was a research done in the 2000 around that time that 76% of the HR people, they consider that what they hire, they consider the emotional intelligence as more important than the intelligent uh, intelligent quotient. And now another important concept has been introduced as we were working in the field of the emotional intelligence, that now we're focusing more on how a person can be culturally fit. So it's all about, it's a part of the emotional intelligence, because uh, nowadays the workplace want the employees who can be more adaptable. And Daniel Goleman had shown it that is one of the very important components of self management. So that is the companies, I believe that Daniel Goleman has made the life of the HR people more easy. Now they got a concrete theory with the real application. So now actually they are incorporating the emotional intelligence into their hiring, firing, all the processes, and also in the leadership development process.
Leadership
And I am,
development process.
yes, and I am finding that it is very much relevant in the context of Bangladesh also. Recently I got the opportunity to get offer from very finest companies in Bangladesh, and now they are they are inviting me to actually train their top management, the emotional intelligence, because now they understand that if I train my people at the bottom or in the middle, if I cannot make our top leaders emotional intelligent, no amount of training for the middle management will be enough. So now uh, they have started training their top management the emotional intelligence. So all about the self awareness, self management, and the empathy, social skills. So that has started, it is there already in the place of in Bangladesh also. And I think that the value of the emotional intelligence that has become more important in the context of developed countries as well.
Yeah, that's a good answer actually. So I think our audience will be benefited. We are just setting the context today, dear audience, because we will really dive deep into the topic and we'll understand a lot more. My last question, Professor S M Arifuzzaman, to you is that what does the next evolution of emotional intelligence look like?
Yeah. So the next evolution, what we believe actually is that in the coming days we will be seeing that the emotional intelligence will be used actually to uh, make the world more close to each other, basically, because they will be used to uh, work for making the leaders all over the world uh, more have more patience and more tolerant, because what we have observed actually in so many areas, there are some leaders, they become very crazy, and it is found that they actually lack the emotional intelligence, because they especially lack the empathy. So I believe that the next time we see that emotional intelligence is being used to make the world a better place, and we can see another concept like digital emotional intelligence, where there will be huge research by which they will try to find out like how we can apply the emotional intelligence more in different companies, and how we can come up with the better tools to actually measure and apply and learn the emotional intelligence worldwide.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much. Yeah, I think yeah, you touch upon some of the important things actually because I mean we are living in the in industry 4.0, but at the same time it has also been transformed heavily by artificial intelligence. So the skills that many people have got, uh, some of these skills are becoming obsolete, but again, some of these skills need to be adopted or learned. So continuous learning is a part of survival. It's not part of thriving only, but survival. So in this challenging time, executives, manager, leaders, supervisors, whatever you say, that we have to manage our emotion as well, so that we not only survive but we can thrive. Because it's a challenging time. So what was working yesterday, that's not working today, or what's working today that may not work tomorrow. So from that perspective, I think your answer was very good, and it gives a lot of food for thought. So we will finish for today, Professor Arifuzzaman. Thank you for your invaluable time, and you have covered a lot of areas to set the context. We will come in next week as well at the same
Yes.
time, and we will further dive into the topic. Till then, dear audience, I'm Dr. S M Moin from London, and Arifuzzaman at the moment with me from Dhaka. So, all the best. See you in our next episode. Bye bye.
Thank you so much.